every once in a while, people will post on Facebook going, hey, I went to this tournament. I won such and such, and I haven't gotten paid. You know, me, John, Ron Bath, we're going, oh, yeah, get with the program. We've all lost like tens of thousands of dollars not being paid. 4 tables in his garage now, and we'll sometimes have 20, 25 people showing up on a Tuesday evening.
Sure.
Just practicing, you know. Yeah. So it's we got celebrities like yourself. You know, I'm only here because Caitlin Clark canceled. She wanted me to go out and teach her side pressure.
Is that right?
Yeah. You know, so it worked out that you were free. And
I was the second option.
She canceled. Yeah.
That's fair.
But, you know, you're just as cute. So
I don't know how to take that, really. Welcome to the Shaw Strength Podcast. I am joined today by Mr. Todd Hutchings, Toddzilla, Uncle Todd. I don't know. Do you have any more names at all?
Not yet. We'll see. Okay. We'll see how the weekend goes.
Okay. Hey, that's all right, man. It's open. It's open. So current 95 kilo, 209 pound world champion in East versus West. Pretty awesome, man.
Yep. Feels great. I wish everybody could be champion.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're going to get to that, but you know, just for people that are like getting to know you and you know, in the arm wrestling world, this collaboration I've been really excited about. You know, we've texted back and forth, you know, about things, and I'm very fascinated by your training style and principles and things you've adapted to your training. But I want to know some of your backstory, man, like history, like, you know, growing up, were you into sports, into training, into what? And then how did things kind of evolve from there?
Not growing up too much. I wrestled in high school for a few years.
Okay.
Got out of high school, went to college, didn't do any athletics, you know, through college, got married, had kids, still really no athletics. I was into archery, bow hunting, that sort of stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
So one day I was just searching. This was before Google. Yahoo was the search engine at the time. And I was looking for archery tournaments somewhere near Cedar Springs, Michigan, and an arm wrestling tournament popped up. So I go, everybody used to arm wrestle in high school. So I go, I wanted to go to that. So me and the family planned to go to it. And then I discovered there wasn't Facebook or anything, but there was message boards.
Yep. I remember.
I started going to message boards. Then I realized arm wrestling's like a lot bigger than what I thought it was even back then. So then I didn't want to go to the tournament and just look like a fool.
Sure.
So I found another tournament like 6 hours away where nobody would know me. And I went to that tournament to practice for my first tournament.
Interesting. So you were, with the archery, you were looking to compete in that? Like, so you took that fairly seriously?
Yeah. That wasn't for money or anything. I guess it was like what men's softball is today. You know, it'd be like a league type thing.
Got it.
Know?
But you did it. Yeah. You did it. Like obviously practiced and enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was really into archery, really into bow hunting for a while.
Okay, and then the arm wrestling that just popped up. It wasn't something that like you were dabbling in at all.
No, I went to the one, really liked it. It was I was amazed at how hard it actually was.
Yes,
and how good people who do it for. I mean, right off the bat, your first tournament, you already learn there's levels.
Yes.
And you discover there's levels. The farther you go, the more levels you find.
100%.
So after that tournament, I went to a few local tournaments. The guy named George Dybel in Michigan and Alan Brzenk Michigan had a lot of arm wrestling tournaments. So it was a great place to get started.
Okay.
They had a Michigan State Championships. I didn't win. Didn't win, but that was my goal. I only wanted to win the state championship of where I was living at the time.
Interesting.
And a guy named James Horn won right and left in the 220 class, and he was from, I believe, Indiana. I was an engineer, and the economy wasn't really friendly to engineers starting in the 2000s. The auto industry and stuff went, but so I ended up moving from Michigan to South Carolina and got into a really, really good team.
Okay. I
was still 220 pounds. South Carolina had a few people in that range, but most of them were like 175, 180. Chad Silvers was down there, Kevin Hicklin, Matt Harris, a lot of the folks. Fritz Corey was about 210 pounds. So I was like one of the bigger guys at this practice. And one of the smaller guys, Russell Inabinant, weighed 138 pounds. So my first day at practice, I walk up, and he's the one I get to practice with.
Okay.
Russell puts his arm up on the table, his wristwatch slides all the way down to his elbow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Couldn't touch him. Couldn't beat any of those people. It was. So once again, there's even more levels to this. You know?
Yeah.
After a month or so of training with South Carolina, Kevin Hicklin, one of our, he was really, really good, but he wasn't our best 176 pounder, but he was like a legit national level 176 pounder. Went to a tournament in Indiana.
Okay.
Beat James Horn, the 220 Michigan State Championship.
Wow.
Just beat him. And I'm going, holy smokes.
Yes, right.
So that's now I'm learning, levels and more levels and more levels.
Sure.
So.
That's crazy. So from the like engineering background, was that something you were fascinated with early on?
Not yet.
Okay.
It was,
obviously studying it and going through it.
Then I was still just trying to catch up and start just to do as good as the guys on my team.
Sure.
Because now I'm saying this 176 pounder can win the Michigan State Championship. So all I need to do is hang out with these guys.
Sure.
And I can go back to Michigan and win that. It was when I joined a new gym. I think it was called South Carolina Barbell. It was owned by a power lifter named Mark Bartley. He saw me at the seated row machine trying to do side pressure, kneeling, and that kind of stuff. And he goes, like, what the hell? What are you doing? And I explained I was training for arm wrestling, that sort of stuff. And he left me by myself for a while. Then he finally clued me into this West Side Barbell. And he goes,
that's how he was training.
That's how he was training, So dynamic effort day, max effort day, isometrics, all of that stuff, work capacity. So I read, Louis Free articles and stuff.
Yep.
Started adapting that to arm wrestling. I just took the West Side Barbell bench press routine and switched everything to side pressure.
Interesting.
Started developing it then. And then Mark Bartley kind of got interested. So he's kind of helping me, suggesting new exercises and adaptations and stuff. Then now with the discovery of max effort day and all these different exercises, I now can track that I'm getting stronger, because the prevailing philosophy back then was you just have to do like an hour of wrist curls and then an hour of hammer curls and an hour, but you never know if you're getting better. And, John Brzenk had articles out there. Chad Silvers was training in South Carolina at the time, and you'd listen to all these folks.
Yep.
And they were very open about how they trained.
Yep.
My problem was I'm 35 years old. I'm starting 10 to 15 years after these guys.
Yep.
I can't do what they're doing and ever catch up to them. I will always be 15 years behind them.
Sure. Sure.
So the West Side Barbell, all of a sudden I got a tape measure on how I can actually measure whether I'm getting better or not.
Yeah.
So to me, I go, oh man, now I can try stuff. Now I can actually get better. Then I started catching up,
So with the guys, like when you got to South Carolina, from a training standpoint, like the guys that you were training with, like that were at that next level, what were they doing for training? Or were you coming up with all the gym stuff on your own?
They were doing a lot of volume stuff, a lot of high volume wrist curls, a lot of high volume work. A lot of them were bench pressing. Chad Silvers at like 180 pounds, I think he could bench 500. He was built like it. We were climbing rope. We were doing a lot of the traditional classic arm wrestling stuff.
Okay.
It was only after, and I still wasn't beating these guys, but after about 6 or 7 months of doing the West Side Barbell, actually getting stronger, I could finally start beating some of these guys in practice.
Were you seeking that out? Like, did you get into it and these other guys are doing that high volume stuff and you're like, hey, I don't think that's going to work as well for me? Or was it the introduction of the West Side stuff where it's like, hey, I need to think about effort type work and that type of thing?
I was still doing the high volume stuff
and trying to
that
add
they were doing.
Okay.
And then I was just doing max effort day and speed day.
Okay.
To start tracking it. And then the more and more stuff I learned on the West Side Barbell system, the less and less super high volume stuff I did, because it was Louis explaining, the American method, the progressive overload, which was, you slowly increase the weight, decrease the reps and stuff. And then he made a comment in one of his articles where he said something like, bodybuilding had destroyed strength training in America.
Interesting.
You know, when bodybuilding got popular.
Yep.
So I started focusing more and more on work capacity and max effort day. And then I progressed like very quickly. You know, like probably took me 5 years to hit national level. You know,
so because of the way you started progressing, it just reinforced what you were doing with the effort work and the dynamic effort work, and all of that started to click.
Yep.
And
then it started clicking for them.
Okay.
So now they didn't completely just switch over. It wasn't like a come to Jesus moment, but max effort day, heavyweight training, that kind of stuff started evolving, and I'm still fighting it because the Westside Barbell System's tailor-made to powerlifting.
Yep.
And you can adapt it to arm wrestling, but there's a big difference converting a 500-pound bench to a 80-pound side pressure.
100%.
There's an order of magnitude difference of weight.
Yes.
So weights are different, volumes different, rehab's different. All of that stuff still had to be figured out.
Sure.
But max effort day, side pressure, all of that stuff started clicking in, within my team then.
Yeah, it's fascinating to get exposed to that, and because even now I'm sure that you probably still get people that fight you on it and say that, hey, that isn't what you should do or whatever, but yet you're sitting here the best in the world in your weight class. It's pretty hard to deny, like, after a certain amount of time, whether it was training partners or, guys you're competing against or pulling against, whatever, like it becomes undeniable at a certain point that there's value add by doing it.
It does. I get pushed back a lot, and there's still, arm wrestling's not mature enough to where we've all coalesced along like the unified theory of arm wrestling, right?
Nope. Yep.
You still have table time only people
Yep.
competing at world level. You got gym only people competing at world level. You got big, tall, skinny guys, and you got short, compact guys. We haven't coalesced down to the best practices for arm wrestling.
Yep.
So there's a lot of roads that lead to Rome. You just got to find one that works for you.
No, it's fascinating, man. So from South Carolina, how did you progress then? Because you said 5 years to get to a national level.
So when I was in South Carolina, that was then arm wrestling started exploding. It used to just be the local tournament. The biggest tournament I was attending at the time was a North Carolina Get a Grip tournament.
Okay.
First prize, $100.
Okay.
Entry fee was like $20.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was the biggest tournament. You'd go to that tournament and people would come from Dave Randall from Georgia, Travis Bajent from West Virginia.
Everybody's showing up.
Everybody's showing. Ron Bath would come.
Okay.
Everybody was showing up to that tournament.
Yeah.
So it started getting big then. And then they started doing the Pull and John movie. So now arm wrestling's really exploding.
So what year did they do that?
I would have to look it up, and people can Google it. But I'm thinking not like 2005, 2006,
so this is
2007.
Around
yeah, I'm still
period.
in South Carolina.
Okay.
So the Pull and John movie came out. The Pull and John film crew came to the North Carolina Get a Grip tournament. Now it's exploded. Now all of a sudden there's arm wrestling in casinos on the East Coast. There's arm wrestling in Las Vegas. The money's getting bigger, and the whole sport's just growing.
Yeah.
Again, jobs, being an automotive engineer in the early 2000s was rough. I don't know. The auto companies got bailouts. We had,
Sure.
So
I remember all that. Yeah.
So,
and you obviously went through a lot there, I'm sure.
I lived through it. Yeah. I moved through 7 states in my engineering career.
Wow.
So I moved from South Carolina to Utah, another hotbed of arm wrestling. That's where I met John.
Yeah.
Before I moved to Utah, I think it was 2005 or 6 or 7, was the first time I pulled John. And I beat him. I pinned him once or twice. I can't remember. I pinned him once, and then there was controversy on the other one. But that's when all of a sudden, now Team South Carolina agrees. Okay, Uncle Todd might. Well, I wasn't Uncle Todd then. I don't even know if I was Toddzilla then. I think I was just Todd.
Let's see if we can. We should find that match real quick.
All right. Ooh, look at that skinny guy on the left.
Isn't that crazy, man? So this would have been 2000, around that period, like 2005?
Yeah. John's all gray now, a lot bigger. So, and I have like one lane, one gear.
Okay.
So, and it's back then, no matter what the question was, the answer is sideways.
Sideways. Okay.
John had pulled 2 weight classes this day. I was just glad to be in the finals with him.
Was that a Velcro strap?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yep. So
wow.
They got it to me early, but it was just I just kept his hand flat. He was super dedicated to top rolling.
Okay.
I kept his hand flat, and I think I'm the only one training side pressure, as far as arm wrestlings are concerned.
So you're bringing that to the
yeah.
to the table,
That's all I got. That's all I got is sideways.
Interesting. So that's a huge. I mean, I'm assuming John did not get pinned very often.
I think Travis was the announcer. I can't remember who, but I think I was the first guy at 200 pounds to pin John in like 10 years or 20 years or something. I mean,
this is massive.
Yeah.
Then
certainly for me.
Yes, of course. Well, it's like you're walking around. I can only imagine. So how are you feeling at this moment? What's going through your head? You're like, all right, you pinned him once.
Yeah. I think I could part the sea and walk across it.
Okay. So you're on cloud 9, man. Yeah.
We end up
inside.
We're back inside again, and this is where see how John's palm up.
Yeah.
This is before he really perfected his pronation out technique, but there he's trying to go out.
Yeah.
And I just got sideways, and that's classic John right there. All top roll all the time. So, and I'm just brute. This is technique versus power. John's got like an entire tackle box full of lures to throw in the lake. I got one speed.
Yeah.
So now it's 1-1.
Okay.
So we're not over with yet. And this is so I forgot what happened. We're 1-1. So I think I beat him the first time. John's got to come back and beat me twice to win. I think is the situation. So that's John's. Look, John's still pressing. Then that must have been before his. See that respect I got?
Yes, he did. It was a nod, man. It was a nod. Yeah, that's really cool.
And I haven't watched this tape in so long.
Oh, it jumped right on. Oh.
Yeah, but he jumped into he did that shoulder roll.
Yeah,
and I caught it on the inside. So. And this is where Keith Michelle, the down ref, becomes my favorite person in the world.
Okay.
And Leonard Harkless, the up ref, becomes
not.
I cross him off my Christmas card
Okay.
list.
Okay. That happened right at this moment.
It happened this day. It happened in about 20 seconds from here.
Okay.
So watch the down ref.
Okay.
Watch the down Keith Michelle. Oh, he caught me on an elbow foul.
Huh.
All right. Wait.
Yeah, this is interesting.
That was before I was famous, where they still called my fouls. Once you get famous, they give you a couple of free fouls.
You get it. Okay.
Like LeBron never gets called for traveling.
No, yeah. He could just pick the ball up and run with it.
So John had to get more aerodynamic because he couldn't handle the speed.
Okay.
So he had to get his bicycle racing shirt on.
Okay. So a little bit of a change mid-match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the back of my shirt says Hutchings, so I wasn't even Toddzilla then.
Yeah.
This is before the nuclear explosions.
Yeah. That's getting into it. This is
where we find out why Leonard's no longer on my Christmas card list.
Okay.
And Keith Michelle is.
So we're deep in a hook.
Yep.
Going down.
John can do everything, man. He can top roll, he can hook, he can press.
Just all of it.
Mm-hmm.
All of it, which is.
Yeah. He was, okay, watch the down ref. You're in about 30 seconds or so.
Okay. So we're going through the match.
Yep. I'm talking. There, Keith Michelle's my hero. There's Leonard becoming the villain. See, that's Chad Silvers. That's the guy who coached me.
Yeah.
We're all thinking we won. Leonard saying, Yeah,
not sure.
Turn those deportation flights around. Y'all got to go back.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's so close.
Yeah. So I sent Keith Michelle the biggest
something.
box from Hickory Farms that year, and Leonard got coal.
Right.
But
so if it would have been a pin, it would have been 2 then.
It would have been a pin. I would have gotten first place. This is how cool. This is the first time I'd met John at the Harley Pull a few years ago, like my second ever tournament.
Okay.
And he got pictures of him holding my little baby kids and stuff.
That's awesome.
But when that was all over, John was so cool about that. The winner got like a stack of poker chips.
Okay.
He divided them in half and gave me half of them.
Really?
Just handed it to me. Yeah.
So did you guys go back to the table and
no. But about 5 years later, I moved to Utah, so I ended up training with him all the time.
That's awesome.
And another thing that I did, John splitting those chips with me that time. When he first offered, I took it. I jumped out. Then later I go, well, that ain't right.
Yeah.
So he was in line to get his chips. I said, John, that's cool, man. We don't have to split it. And he insisted.
Yeah.
And I took it. Like one of the only times I didn't even beat Ron. I pulled Ron Bath in Nationals once.
Okay.
Didn't beat him, but we went into a big long war.
Yeah.
He gave me his first place prize.
Really?
Just because I was close to him. So
that's crazy.
These heroes, these giants of arm wrestling have just been they're so nice, and everybody's just been so cool to me.
Yeah,
so all these people because I'm 30, I started at 35.
Yep.
A lot of these people started when they were 18.
Sure. So jumping in.
They're just giving you respect and love from the beginning.
So that match there with John, that's what really, like, in the arm wrestling world was like, all right, Todd's here.
That was,
This is I'm sure it created a real big amount of hype around you.
It did. I got a lot of hype. Arm TV, Gary Roberts, who filmed it at the time. Yeah, he fell in love with me then. I think the following year or so, I think there's like 9 or 10 hours of video on Arm TV that's just Todd Hutchings.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, man.
So it's like Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not Muhammad Ali in this kind. But anyway,
sure.
But it was, arm wrestling was growing. The video was growing. Pulling John movie was coming out.
Yeah.
So I fell in at the exact right time.
No, that's awesome, man. So from there, that was before you moved to Utah. So you moved out to Utah and trained. What was that like, training with John and his crew and all those guys?
John was still my hero then. It was like I told you when you picked me up from the airport. I kept staring at you to go, dude, I'm only used to seeing you on TV.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm still that way.
Yeah.
When we're training with John. And then, so John's, he's John. So he's going to all the international tournaments. And he starts bringing me. So I get to train. So
super cool.
It would be cool to go to a tournament with John, even if you're not pulling, just to hang out with John, but to actually go out and compete with him and train with him and stuff. So, I couldn't have, what I'm saying? Everything was just lining up saying, dude, you have to keep arm wrestling because the things are just falling in place.
Completely. Completely. So you start traveling then. Is that when the international side of it started?
Then it started getting bigger. Igor Mazarenko was running PAL then. So the Zloty Tour was the big tournament at the time, and started going there. The money was a lot better. They started doing offshoot leagues, super matches, that kind of stuff. So it was. And then shortly after that, the PAL started out of California, or the UAL did out of California, Robert Drenk's league. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
So from your training standpoint, because obviously John's known as a table guy, table only guy, right? And so you going out there and still continuing all the training methodology you would kind of, I'm assuming at this point, you had kind of developed for yourself and going into it. Was there any conversation ever around John doing some of that with you?
Lots of conversations.
Okay.
Me and John would argue. I love that man. We were good friends.
Yeah.
Right? And we'd get into beer, we'd get into bourbon or something, and we would argue about training constantly, but it was all good natured stuff,
Sure.
And it's nice because he's so ingrained into his style that even though I'm not convincing him, he's not changing my mind, I'm not changing his, but I do go back and think about, this worked for him. So there's something. So it forces you to be more stringent in how you analyze your own training. I'm not giving up the West Side Barbell because I know it worked for me.
Yes.
But I am going to analyze every aspect of it very acutely, because here's a guy doing the complete opposite.
Yes. Doing
very well for a lot longer than anybody. I mean, nobody will ever do what he did.
Yeah.
So I got I got to where I stopped telling people stuff I had heard or believed. But when people ask for advice, I would only give them advice on stuff I know.
Makes sense.
Like if we're talking, you don't know whether I'm telling you stuff I've heard or I believe. But when people ask for distinct advice, I go, I know this is true. I think this might work. I heard this. Sure. So they all have to come with a different degree of confidence.
And I think everybody adapts to, training in a different way, you know, like in certain, you can go to any type of program, and one program may be killer for one person, right? Like, and they may just fit that to a T, and they get a tremendous amount of benefit from it. And then somebody else does it, and it maybe the components of that training program need to change for them to be successful.
Yeah.
Right. And so, somebody like John and who knows? Like, I think the argument on the other side is, what if he was that good on the table, but then also added some more strength training in, right? Yeah. Like, would he have gone to an even greater level? Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know if he had gone to a greater level, but he might have had different capabilities at that level.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that training, customizing it for yourself. When Sean Latimer got into arm wrestling, I think the league was UA. I don't know if you know him. He was like one of the first guys in America.
I've heard the name,
bench,
but I don't know him.
He benched like 1,000. He was one of the early guys to bench 1,000 pounds. And he was also the first over 300-pound man I'd ever met in arm wrestling.
Okay.
Up until that time, a 300-pound man in arm wrestling was rare and kind of an oddity. So you'd see one, you'd go, wow, that's something. But Sean was like the first of the 400.
Okay.
And when he came in, a lot of people came in, because he was standing there talking to a couple of other people. And I was with Bob Brown. I go, there's 3 people there. And he goes, yeah. I go, is that like 14 to 1,500 pounds of people there? Sure. John, Bob goes, yeah, those guys are big.
Yeah.
But I talked to him about the West Side Barbell, because since he's benching so heavy, and he was very familiar with it. He goes, but for me, I just needed more time at a higher percentage.
Okay.
So the West Side Barbell wasn't his path. I think he needed more max effort days or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. I couldn't talk powerlifting with him. What he said was very clear and succinct. I can't remember it now because I don't fully understand the lingo of powerlifters.
So he agreed or disagreed with you?
He knew the West Side Barbell system was effective, but it wasn't the best for him.
So where did like him coming into arm wrestling? How did he end up doing?
He did very well. Devin would give him fits, but even back then, Devin was a monster. He was one of these guys that in it for a year or two, and he's probably in the top. I think he was better left than right. I can't quite remember, but top 5 for sure. Like he had a very condensed learning curve just because he came in so strong.
Yeah. But then out of the sport.
The sport kind of died after WAL, and I don't know when Sean kind of left or faded out of arm wrestling or why.
Okay.
But arm wrestling has its peaks and its valleys. We have these leagues exist, and then they.
And you probably, you've probably seen a lot of that.
I've outlived like 4 or 5 leagues, and John's probably outlived 20.
Yeah, way more.
Yeah,
way more.
It's so bad. Every once in a while, people will post on Facebook going, "Hey, I went to this tournament. I won such and such, and I haven't gotten paid." Me, John, Ron Bath, we're going, oh yeah, get with the program. We've all lost like tens of thousands of dollars not being paid.
Yeah. Is it just you would go to a tournament and they advertise something and then couldn't come
through with it, then you couldn't find them when it was time to get paid.
Sure.
Yeah, we left Russia once. Me, John, Bob Brown, and Dave Chafee.
Okay.
All competed in like the 2nd or 3rd A1 tournament. And when we left, they owed like the 4 of us. It was like $15,000 or $16,000.
Yeah.
But our plane's leaving. We need there's like the clock's ticking and we had to leave without getting paid.
Yeah, in life. And then you never got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then I'm in America. I'm not contacting somebody.
No.
Hey, you still owe me $16,000.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. That's frustrating, man. I mean, I'm sure those people have weeded themselves out, like as the sport has progressed.
I think they have, or maybe as well as our,
or maybe that's why it failed.
Maybe it's attracting new people or something. But East vs. West is completely different.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is such a great league.
Sure.
Oh man, and I got good guys running it. So yeah, you have no worries about being treated fairly or nicely or getting paid. The East vs. West is absolutely the best league I've been part of.
Sure. Well, that's awesome, man. It's a big step forward, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's
for that
like
to
legit.
happen.
You actually have confidence that this is going somewhere.
Yeah. And you getting into that, you're saying it's the best league, and like what's your thoughts on just arm wrestling, like because I feel like we're having this conversation about different leagues failing and falling apart. Like, do you think there's reasons those fell apart, or was it
I used to
from the top down?
Yeah,
or,
I used to have like strong opinions about it until I saw like 4 or 5 leagues fail.
Okay.
And some people believe,
or they're all for different reasons.
Well, people believe you got to get it on TV in order to make money. You got to make it like UFC. I don't know. I've never run a big successful series of tournaments.
Sure.
I don't know all the logistics in it. I see people, the WL tried very hard. It was getting it on TV. That match with me and John was on television.
Yep.
I don't know what happens at that level. And I don't know what the value stream is. I don't know how the money exchange. I don't know any of that, how any of that works.
Yeah.
But this is all pre-internet. You can now put on a tournament, stream it,
and it goes right out.
Yeah. Bypass TV networks. You get residual money on the YouTube videos, and so maybe it's just a whole different business model now.
And it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people now that don't, cable TV, for example, is like, I don't know. Do people still have that? Like,
I don't.
And I don't watch a lot of TV at all. So it's one of those things where we certainly don't. But it's it's just that model. But being on TV is still, I think, valuable to some extent.
I think it would.
Right?
I think when you're on TV, it's proved you're successful. I don't think getting on TV makes you successful anymore. But but I don't, like I said, I don't have cable TV at all. I got Netflix and Hulu on my phone.
Sure.
So, and I love watching TV. If I got a day off, I'm happy to watch TV all day long. But I just don't have the time.
No, yeah, that's the word, man. It's time. So it's but it's neat to see like the sport kind of blowing up in different ways, right? Getting more popular and more people paying attention, for sure.
East versus West. The WL was doing well, and then COVID hit, and then it all shut down.
Yeah.
East versus West started in COVID.
Yeah.
There was no sports, and that was a time to get on TV because there was no, right? They were running rerun baseball games.
Whatever they could, yeah.
Somebody could have taken everybody to Montana where there was no mask laws and built a whole series full of tournaments,
Yeah.
East versus West did internationally.
Yeah.
And then they just exploded. I mean, and it's East versus West success is getting so big that my Tuesday practice started with 4 people. And in a year, it went from 4 people, 1 table. Jason Robinette's got 4 tables in his garage now, and we'll sometimes have 20, 25 people showing up on a Tuesday evening.
Sure.
Just practicing.
Yeah.
So it's we got celebrities like yourself. I'm only here because Caitlin Clark canceled because she wanted me to go out and teach her side pressure.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it worked out that you were free. And
I was the second option.
She canceled. Yeah,
that's fair.
But you're just as cute. So
I don't know how to take that. Really, I don't know how to take that. But yeah, man, it's fun though, right? Like, and I think it's the thing with the people that have followed me and some of the comments and things that I've got is a lot of people very much like you. And I think you made the comment of when you first got into it, you didn't realize kind of the different levels to it and the detail that goes into it. And I think as people start to hear more of that and they're exposed to more of that, they understand that like, okay, this is very interesting because of all of these different factors. So it is a strength combat sport. Like it very much is that, right? So it's, you know, as much as people are into, you know, a fight, and that's, you know, why the UFC is so popular, right? Like it's two guys getting in there and fighting, or two girls, same deal. Arm wrestling is very fascinating in that capacity too, because there's a battle that's happening the entire time. Right. So whether there is, of course, like more of a mental battle, right? And the confidence, and are you attacking the confidence or not? And then it's everything from the setup and your body language and how you approach the table to how you set up and where are you going to attack, right? Like where's the weakness, you know, and you've spent a lot of time even right now talking to me about like building a plan for certain people and, you know, watching back game film, so to speak, like other matches that have happened. Like, I think it's fascinating when more and more people start to hear those types of things and learn more about it, and they're exposed to it. I think it's something that you can't help but stop and watch. Like, especially, you know, everybody's seen, you know, people, whether it's, you know, in a bar or whatever, right? Like, oh, we're going to arm wrestle, right? Or back in school, the kids at the lunch table are like, oh, let's arm wrestle, right? So like, there's some form of that, of proving who is stronger, right? And who is dominant in that scenario. And I think when you get to that primal level of it, it gets more fascinating for people, right? Because you can't help but be drawn in and say, well, now this battle, and you know the parts of it. So, you know, it's no different than people watching fighting, and then the commentators having the knowledge to say like, hey, you know, because a lot of people are like, oh, the fight went to the ground, it's boring now. Like if the punches and kicks aren't being thrown, it's boring. But there's so much stuff that's happening in the grappling and the, you know, different submission attempts and all these things that are happening. So it's in the setup of arm wrestling. People are like, well, why can't you just get it started? But it's because there's a battle back and forth for position to start the match, right? Like, and so I think it's people gaining knowledge, and as people gain knowledge, it becomes, you're drawn into it more, you know? And I you know, I'm sure that you've had many, many more conversations than me with people that are, you know, interested in the sport or coming into the sport or getting exposed to it. Like, is that stuff that you've found?
Very much so. And I think an advantage that arm wrestling, I don't know if it's exploited intentionally, but something that helps arm wrestling grow is it's a lot more accessible. Because you can watch UFC fights all you want, but your ability to get into a ring and fight somebody is almost zero.
Limited.
Yes. But you go to any arm wrestling event, your ability to get on the table and arm wrestle somebody is like just under 100%. You can do it. Yes. You know, you can go to an arm wrestling event, not know anything, and somebody can show you top roll, hook, press, ready, go, all of that. So you can come out with a newfound attachment and feeling of it just because it's that accessible. And I think that's why our practices are blowing up. We got the newest member of my Saturday crew came at 16 years old. Wow. You know? Yeah. I mean, you've got all kinds of sports opportunities available to you in high school. Sure. And he's arm wrestling. Yeah. You know? So. Well, it's interesting, man. And I think I got to see it a little bit from the strongman side of things, where, you know, that sport, when I started, you couldn't really find places to train or training equipment, or it wasn't accessible. Yeah. And it really wasn't. It was just kind of like, well, maybe this guy's doing it out of his garage, and maybe you can go there and find somebody to train with or something like that. And now it's become much, much, much more popular, right? So like, you can go to so many gyms now have kind of a functional training area. Yeah. They may have some sandbags or a tire to flip, or, you know, maybe yoke or farmers to carry. Like, you can find the equipment now, and then people get exposed to it. And again, to a certain level, that's also scalable, right? So you can scale the weights that you're lifting. And so people start to have kind of an understanding of, well, if you're going to pick up and walk with 1,000 pounds. Well, if I can pick up and walk with 200 pounds, I understand what's happening. I know what 5 times that is. Yeah. So it's always making it, you know, relatable. And then people start to get fascinated by the
the competition itself, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, in strongman, certainly you're competing against other individuals, but primarily you're against a weight or an implement or whatever you're going to move. You know, can you lift more? Can you carry it faster? Can you carry it further? Like all these types of things are being tested, which obviously draws people in and gets them interested in the battle. But arm wrestling is really fun because you start to get into it and you peel back the layers and it's like, okay, like you said, there's a different level and there's a different level and a different level. And like trying to get to those levels is, I think, the challenge, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah. So when did you, like, was it East versus West? Like, when did you kind of feel like you were in that upper echelon, that type of category? Like, how long did it take for you, and when did you feel that?
I had a pretty good idea before in the UAL. The UAL was primarily American, but I had a pretty good idea.
Okay.
I was one of the best because I'd been traveling with John by then. So I knew I was competitive at the world level. And when the UAL came out, I go, I think I'm one of the best at 200 pounds. In the WAL, that 209 weight class, that was mine. I was very dominant.
Did you compete at anything different, or was it primarily that?
It would be different weight classes, but like in the WAL, when there was that much money in that big of a league,
it was always the 95.
I would stay, and that's when I really started 15, 20 pound weight cuts to make the 209. No, I knew then, at least in America, North America, Australia, you know, the English speaking countries, I was probably the best or one of the best in the world.
That's awesome.
I really didn't know until I'm pretty confident in my level now at East First West.
Okay.
You know, because I'm the East First West has the best people in the world.
Yes.
So just to be in the East First West means you're one of the 10 best guys in the world.
Sure.
And if you got a belt, you've been the best in the world for at least a weekend.
So is there, man. It's just fun, man. It's fun for you to start later in the sport, climb the ranks the way you did, and get the exposure that you did, like through your journey, and cross paths with people like John Brzenk, and you know, like to learn from them, and then, you know, continue. I think it's fascinating that you continue to develop your own training style that worked for you. Yeah. So you're willing to, I'm going to use the word kind of not conform, right? Not conform to, like, hey, John's doing only table. I better drop all this West Side stuff out and follow, you know, completely, because that's the guy. Yeah. Right? So it's an interesting one. Like, as you had those debates, in my mind, it's like, well, you know, this is working for me. Do I drop it to go with this guy that's, you know, the best ever, and go what he's doing? You know, it's fascinating how you stayed that course. I think, like, if you look at it, like, take a step back and say, like, all right, well, you know, different people have different philosophies, but this worked for you and you stayed on that path the entire time, and it's led you to being the best in the world. Yeah.
It's easy to adapt and improvise when you're starting. Once you get to a level, you don't want to let go of what works.
Okay.
And that's very hard, but you still have to. And I owe Jamie and Tyson, two of my training partners at the Muddy River Boys, an apology, because they've been promoting 2 max effort days a week, and I've been against it for years.
Okay.
I've been doing 2 max effort days a week for a couple of months now, and I love it. So sorry, Jamie, sorry, Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, and
you guys were having debates about it
all the time. You know, and I'm the 95 kilogram champ. Who the hell are you?
Sure.
You know, why are you telling me this stuff? And I was like, hey guys, you know what I think we should do?
Sure. You know? So what made you take the plunge on that? Like, to try it?
I'm nervous about staying the 95 kilogram champ.
So you're open to, okay.
I know how to get stronger. My biggest fear now is, how do I get stronger faster?
Sure.
Because I'm afraid of somebody else improving what I did, and like, we're both getting stronger, but if they're getting stronger faster than me, they'll pass me. So I got, you know, who do you see as the biggest threat in that category for you, that weight class? I think it's Oleg Petrenko. I think Oleg Petrenko is almost like he's like the CGI version of John Brzenk. I think he's capable of doing what John did, being that versatile, being that strong at that size.
Okay.
I don't think.
Have you had a match with him?
No.
Okay.
No. But
and how old is he?
Oh, I don't know. They all only had a couple dozen birthdays. I mean,
okay.
Who knows?
So it's not, yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's not getting
a couple dozen.
Yeah, he's not getting
great.
half off his McDonald's meal, and he's not eating at the country buffet at 6:00 in the afternoon.
Sure. It's truly incredible, man, because you're 58, right? Is that right? 58 years old, world champion. And the last guy you beat was 27, is that right?
Yeah.
26 or 27. Yeah. That's wild, man.
I think it's still. I don't think his first driver's license expired yet.
Yeah. He's still got that one. I mean, it's awesome, man. But again, it's just a testament to the hard work you've put in over time, right? And for you to stay at that level of strength for that long, and even get better, because you're still getting better, right?
Yes. My PRs are still going up. My side pressure is still increasing.
Which is wild, man. So when do you think that like will stop? Do you see it stopping? I mean, I feel like you need to keep going while you're going up. It'd be like ridiculous.
That is an interesting segue.
Okay.
So let's change topics slightly.
Okay.
Oh, film this. Sorry. As soon as he's
here.
No,
you're good. Yeah.
I'm gonna stink my own. I make dozens of dollars a year on my channel. So film it this way. Okay, so you're world's strongest man, probably the best American to ever do it, if not the best ever, 4 times.
Yeah.
Right? And 2022, you took second in a world's strongest man event? 2021.
Yep.
Retired from strongman at 2023.
Yep.
Okay. It's now 2025.
Yep.
Was retiring in 2023 too soon, too late, or did you get it at the exact right time with no mistakes?
So 2023, I called my last contest was going to be the strongest man on earth. So that happened, and I won that. So number one, I beat all the younger guys. And very much the same thing. It's in strongman. It's like just to give some context, my last world's strongest man, and strongest man on earth, both of those, there were 2 guys from Ukraine that competed alongside me. So I went over to Ukraine in 2007 to compete over there, and they both had come and watched the competition, and they were like 8 years old, 9 years old, right? And now they're in the top 10 in the world. Alongside me, and so they came and told me that, which made me feel quite a bit older. But yeah, man, I won that. I called that shot. I had been thinking about walking away when the right moment to walk away was. So it's one of those things where you don't want to look back in hindsight and say it was too soon, or you definitely don't want to walk away and say it was too late. So to answer your question, what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to walk away when I was still fully capable, when I was still extremely competitive. I was capable of winning any contest that I entered, and then walk away, right? So that people are kind of like, well, Brian could still do it, or like, why would you walk away when you won, or, like this type of thing. So I think in hindsight, now that I'm removed from it, I think I got it right.
Just right.
I think I got it right. And I love the fact that, at certain points, in the past couple of years, it's like I'll see somebody win a contest, and it's like, well, if I trained, I could come back, but it's not that's, I'm not saying that I'm going to do that, but having the thought of like, all right, like there's still some competitive juice there, but I walked away at the right moment, because I didn't want to be one of those guys. And you see them in so many sports where they hang on too long. And then especially the greats, right? Like if you're in that type of, category where people have looked at you and said like, God, that guy was incredible. And then you go past that. It's
like
just,
when your favorite rock band's playing the county fair for free.
Sure.
It's like, oh man, you guys are so cool in the 80s.
Yes. Maybe
it's too late. 2025 is too late for you to retire. It's not nostalgic anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I think that it was in hindsight right, because, now I've been able to move on and set some new goals and, go after something else. But, it's not that I was past wanting to be competitive, right? Like, I still have the competitive juices and fire. In strongman, I had a very long career, great career, and I enjoyed it. I for sure enjoyed it and still love. It's not that I don't love it, right? Like it was, but it was a tough call. Like, it's one of those things where you put a lot of thought into it, because you don't want to walk away and say, like, gosh, I should have gone another year or two, especially as you get down the road, right? But I think that me walking away with being very, very healthy overall, like no problems with my knees or my back or my shoulders or my elbows or like nothing, right? But that was, I think, a byproduct of the way that I trained and approached the contest and, that type of thing too. So, I feel really good about it. Like, I wouldn't go back. If you said, hey, would you have stayed another year? I don't think I would have. I think I was the right call at the right moment. And I'm thankful for that, because I kind of got to have the storybook ending, if you will, right? Like, you're walking out on top.
You wrote it. You controlled it.
I mean, not many guys get to say, like, I'm calling this as my last contest, and you compete against the best in the world and win.
Yeah.
And you get to walk out on top. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So at that moment, how confident back then? Now you're very confident it was the right decision.
Yeah.
At the time, before you won the contest, once you've announced it and before you won, how confident that it was the right decision? I'm asking for a friend. I myself, I got another decade, but
sure. Yeah,
there's a lot of people in the top 5 that have a lot of birthdays behind them.
Here's the thing is, I felt like it put a lot of pressure on me, and I didn't want that pressure to kind of cloud I'm walking away, or I feel pressure to walk away, or if I would I had quietly been thinking about it before. So I actually, ironically enough, kind of the year before at Strongest Men, so in 2022, I kind of took some time down after that contest, and I was like, I didn't say anything publicly, but I was like, is it time to be done? So I could be done at this moment, right? Like, I'm going to take some time off. I'm just going to clear my head. And I decided then that was where the next year needed to come. But I was comfortable enough that I could put everything into that. So I think because it was premeditated, it wasn't a rash decision of like, hey, this is my last one, or, anything. Like, I had been thinking about it for a while. And the challenging part is, when is it the right time? Right. And I think for any athlete, it's so hard to say.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say, especially if you're very competitive, you're still at the top or right at the top. It's tough to like, it's almost like gambling in a way, right? Like,
it's you're gambling with your legacy. So,
yes,
you got nothing more than that.
Yeah. Like, you're playing blackjack, or it's like, well, I'm on a winning streak. When do you pull your chips, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when do you say, like, hey, I'm going to go cash out, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's tough, because from a competitive standpoint, I think you always want to bet on yourself again, right? Like, you want to say, like, I will do it, or I'll have the next one, or I can do it again, or whatever. And so, I'm comfortable with it though. I know that I definitely could have carried on, like, for a while, because it wasn't hard for me, right? Like, that some guys, strongman is very, very hard. For me, it wasn't really that hard. It was, I enjoyed the training, and I was strong. Yeah. So it wasn't something that was like a difficult thing. Yeah, of course, was it difficult to train and be beat up and whatever, yes. But that was my normal. Right?
You'd already paid your dues.
I'd paid my dues.
Yeah, so
to maintain
your returns
on
investment are just rolling in and out, and they're compounding.
Yes, yeah. So, but whatever. I feel like I'm taking a long time to answer that, but I feel it's just the right.
It's your podcast.
Yeah, it
doesn't say Todd strength.
Yeah. Well, you're asking great questions, man, because you have to put a lot of thought into that, right? Like, it's very good.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm immortal, so I mean, I'll be around
forever. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, when I leave, Engen's gonna go. Nobody's gonna do 95 kilograms like Uncle Todd did.
No,
we're retiring the 95 class.
Hey, man,
it's now a 93 kilogram class.
I tell you what, if that happens, that would be a statement, man. Yeah. That would be a statement. I'm chasing you now, brother. Like you're the one. Like I've still got some road to run. You know what I'm saying?
But you got somebody giving you a good head start.
Yes, 100%, man. No, I love that. Yeah. So when will be the right time for you? I guess or have you even thought about it?
I've been thinking about it.
Okay.
Since I was 45.
Okay.
So because when you start at 35, you're always the old guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What kept me in it this long was John was always a year older than me.
Okay.
But it's weird. We have an open practice and these guys show up and their parents are now younger than me.
That's strange.
I had a super match with Harold Stevens in Utah once and his dad was my age.
That's crazy. Yeah. So it's just, again, perspective, man. But I feel like, has the time gone by quickly?
It has, but when I think back, like watching that tape, seems like a million years ago.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if we sit around and I'll talk about stuff that happened 10 years ago, and I think it was just
not that long.
A few months ago, and I go, wait a minute, that was 4 leagues ago.
Yes. Yep. It's wild, and I'm sure you've seen a number of different faces come and go.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
they blow up and they just disappear. And that was and that's the one thing is, the longer I stay in it, I will sooner or later I will revenge all my losses.
Yes,
because they're all getting older.
Hey, man.
They're all getting chubby and slow.
Sure.
Sooner or later I'll beat everybody.
Yeah. You're coming from
because I don't have any rivalries with the young people yet.
Sure, so. You're developing those. Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's a good way to put it. It really is. So when is your next match?
It's slated for May.
May. Okay.
Engen. I asked this on Engen. I don't think it's confirmed yet.
Okay.
When he's always developing 2 or 3 events in the future. So
thinking ahead,
the one in Texas next week, that's obviously locked down. That was locked down pretty solidly a month ago.
Okay.
The one after it, May or June was the window I was given.
Okay.
The country hasn't picked. I think it's East Asia. But and it might have been back then, but things changed.
Of course. They're trying to get it locked in. I'm sure.
And I'm not not on the board of directors or anything, so I don't know what the negotiations are.
100%.
So I hear rumors. Minimum. I don't wear them out. He says, "Hey, do you want to pull in May or June?" I go, "Yes." I go, "Where?" He told me a country. It's not confirmed yet. He gave me a competitor's name. It's not announced yet, but it's going to be Rustom, Sasho, not Paulin probably because they're North American, maybe Oleg. It's my next I'm going to pull all those guys in the 95 class eventually.
So everybody's going to be coming after you now.
Once you're on top, all roads lead to the top.
100%, man. So do you feel pressure? I'm sure you do to a certain point, but like you feel pressure to defend it.
Yeah, holding it is harder than getting it.
Yeah.
It's the pressure to hold it is way higher than the pressure to get it. When I go into a title match or against somebody that's the best in the world, I don't have any pressure because they're the best in the world.
Sure.
But when I go in, I go, now I'm the best in the world. I go, well, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just posing. Is this guy gonna?
Sure. Sure.
So, that's what freezes you when it comes to adapting your training because you go, wow, I could make this change and maybe get 0.5% better over 6 months.
Sure.
Or I'll just stay exactly where I am and turtle up.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you want to turtle up, right? Like
I don't think you can. I think that's what eventually causes the legends to end up playing county fairs for zero admission.
Sure. You got to grow, man. And you very confidently obviously answered that you're getting stronger and things are progressing. So it's
easy when you measure it.
Yes. Yeah. But you have that, and that's like, it's got to give you a lot of confidence going into a match, knowing that those numbers are up and you're in a better spot. It has to.
I'm always sick to my stomach nervous before a match.
Yeah.
But I'm confident that the training I did worked.
Yeah.
The question is, did it work enough or did it work fast enough?
Sure.
You know,
When you and you seem to also be very, very detailed on a plan.
yes,
A game plan of what you're going to execute, and
for each person.
yeah, and then the training will be manipulated for that plan to be executed in the best manner possible.
100%.
So, I mean, when you have that, it's like you put all the work in, and then you go there, and then it's like you use those nerves in a good way, right? Yep. Like you get them. Like somebody said to me a long time ago, it's like, well, do you have butterflies in yours? Yep. He's like, just get all the butterflies flying in the same direction, and you'll be good, right?
There you
like,
go, get them trained.
Yeah, so it's awesome, man. Well, we probably could keep talking, but we have some more work to do in the gym.
Yes, sir.
But tell people where they can find you, where they can check some of your stuff out, because you post quite a bit.
I have a YouTube channel. It's under my name.
Okay.
If you're ever in
Todd
Marietta,
Hutchings,
if you're ever in Marietta, Ohio, stop by the house.
Okay.
If I'm not there, go to the Norwood Tavern, ask them. They'll know where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay.
You might want to be careful with offering that. Like you're probably gonna have some people showing up.
I do all the time.
Okay.
I've had people on Facebook message me, hey, can we come and practice sometime? I go, sure.
Yeah.
They go, today? I go, where are you? They go, Chicago.
Yeah.
I go, okay. We'll be there in 8 hours. And they drove.
Just drive.
Pulled for 2 hours, got back in the car and left.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's neat. It's neat to like have the access and like you the knowledge that you do share, because I've watched quite a few of your videos on YouTube as well, and you just put a lot of your training plan you put out there.
It's all out there.
Yeah,
everything I do. One question before we go.
Hit me.
So you retired in 2023.
Yep.
2025. When did you start arm wrestling? Was it
strongman? You mean arm wrestling? So here's the thing: is I feel like the first time that I actually did really any training was when Devin came here last June.
Okay.
So
less than a year.
I mean, I was messing around with a couple handles and that type of thing, but it wasn't really, it was nothing really of substance, like it was like not really anything on a table. So we did that together.
You were arm wrestling curious.
Yeah. And then the guy, I kind of started having the group of guys come over. I think it was kind of like early July. So that's when we actually kind of started having a little bit more of a set practice. And, at the beginning it was once every 2 weeks and, trying to recover from that a little bit more. And then, it's kind of progressed to once every week. And then we may bump it up to like twice a week at a certain point here too. So,
okay. So sitting here today,
yeah.
What's your plan? Because you got kind of two paths, especially someone who's as close to death as you are. You can jump on the fast.
Calling the kettle black right now.
No, man, I'm going to be around for you. I'm going to be around. Okay. I will never play the county fair.
Okay. As close to death as I am. I like how you go into the question with that. That's good.
So you can jump on the fastest horses you find and shoot up the ranks, learn a trick or two.
Yeah.
Try to make a statement, hit top 10, hit top 5, challenge the king for the crown.
Sure.
Or you can sit back, learn all the intricacies of it, the history, study tape, eventually end up on a mountain, grow a big white mustache, wait for Uma Thurman to climb the stairs.
Sure.
So you can do your eagle claw versus her crane. I mean, what's your plan for arm wrestling?
By far the first one.
Good. Because I'm not coming out here and helping you. I would go back to Caitlin's house if you want to take forever. Okay.
I'm not wanting to take forever. No. Definitely not.
Good. Then let's learn 4 or 5 basic things and get your strength numbers up.
See, I like that, man. I like that a lot. It's been really fun to have the conversations that we've had about it and pick your brain about just the overall philosophy and then the approach.
Yep.
But it's very tangible. It works for somebody like me that's from the lifting world. Mm-hmm. It's like, here's what we got to work on. Like that's your objective. We got to get better at this, And so that's a very tangible thing for me to go after. I like that. All
right. We'll get you some metrics.
Yeah.
You can track your progress. We'll put a calendar to it later and again, keep the guy's phone number.
Okay. That's awesome, man. Well, make sure you guys check out Todd's stuff, give him some love for sure. And, we'll have plenty of, content coming out around, training and different things. And then, we'll have to have you back out again, man, at
Sure.
some point and do some updates. And,
Yep.
and
I'll see if you're doing your homework. I'll get you a midterm exam.
Midterm exam. Okay. Well, I better ace that thing, man. I better ace that thing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please share the podcast. It helps to get it out to more and more people and spread the message. And we love that. So very much appreciate that. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
And we're going to go have some more fun training. Hope you guys enjoyed that. For now, going to be great. And we'll check you guys later.
Call your mom.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.